Have you ever felt like something invisible around you was trying to warn you? It's no coincidence that you're here now. There's a reason, one less thing you need to hear. A message that not only transforms who you are, but can change the course of everything around you. And if I told you that this message does not come from anywhere, but from heaven itself, today I will share with you a divine revelation that came through the light of Mary, a messenger chosen directly to issue the most urgent warnings from the Virgin Mary. We are not talking about a simple story or something you can ignore. We are talking about a surprising prophecy, a warning that may be the answer to so many questions you didn't even know you were asking. But before we go any further, I need to ask you, do you believe that things happen by chance? Or do you feel that certain messages come to us at just the right time, as if someone up there knows exactly what we need? This is your opportunity to discover something that can change the way you see the world, something so important that if you don't watch it until the end, you may miss a fundamental piece to understand what is coming. And I know how easy it is to get distracted. Maybe you have a lot of things going on in your life right now. But let me tell you something. What I'm going to share may answer what your heart has been asking for. You've been here for a reason, for a long time. What will you do with this? Will you listen to it until the end, or will you let this chance pass by? I know I heard something like this. It may be heavy, perhaps even difficult to believe, but if you allow me, I'm not here to convince you of anything. I'm here to share something that touched the hearts of thousands, that brought hope and yes, a powerful warning, and in the end the choice will be all yours. But as long as you stay with me, I promise that what you will hear today will be unlike anything you have ever heard before, because the Virgin Mary does not speak so that her words will be ignored. Her messages are delivered as a guide, a warning, and above all a chance for those who have ears to hear. The question you must ask yourself is this for me? And I will help you find that answer. In the next few minutes, you will understand why this heavenly warning is so urgent. You will discover how sin is already around us, and what you need to do now. Believe me, you are not here by chance. This is your chance to hear something that few will have the courage to face. So get ready, take a deep breath, and if you haven't already, like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear this too, and tell us in the comments below, do you believe we are receiving divine signs? I want to know your opinion. Now let's begin. There are times when the world seems to pause, as if something bigger is trying to reach us. The Virgin Mary, in her infinite compassion, does not come to judge us, but to alert us. When she manifests herself, her presence is not just something that is seen or heard, it is something that is felt. Her appearance is not a spectacle, but a deep, unmistakable call destined to touch the most intimate part of the human soul. In this revelation, her presence brought not only peace, but also an almost palpable urgency. There was a weight in her words, a meaning that sounded like a loving warning. It was not just any message, it was something that came directly from the divine heart, as if heaven itself was trying to break down our barriers of indifference and distraction. The light of Mary as messenger lived this moment intensely, and by sharing what she received, she offers us a fragment of this transforming experience. The Virgin Mary does not appear with vague promises or with words of consolation that mask reality. Her voice is clear, firm, but filled with a love that disarms. She invites us to look within, to see our flaws, and to recognize the path we need to follow. But above all, it reminds us that there is still time, and we still have the chance to return to what really matters. Its message came loaded with a powerful warning, not a warning to provoke fear, but to awaken us, to remind us that we are at a critical point where our choices, as individuals and as humanity, can determine a future of light or darkness. This is the kind of presence that leaves no one indifferent. It is impossible being faced with a message like this and not feeling your heart beat faster, your mind fill with questions, and your soul seek answers. The most impressive thing is the mixture of love and urgency that your words carry. There is no judgment, but there is also no room for passivity. She treats us like children, like someone who wants the best for us, but knows that we need to hear difficult truths, truths that require courage to be faced and changes to be experienced. While you listen to this, you may feel restless, curious. This is her calling. You are the proof that these words are not just for those who already believe or for those who already walk in faith, they are for everyone. These words are to remind us that the divine still speaks to us, still cares, and still believes we can change. But what exactly did the Virgin Mary say? Why is this message so different from any other? And what does it mean for each of us right now, in this very moment? The answers are unfolding, and what is coming is something that can change everything. Be prepared to continue. The message transmitted by the Virgin Mary through the light of Mary is not like any other. Her words carry a depth that seems to surpass human understanding, but at the same time speak directly to the heart of each one who allows themselves to hear. This is not just a warning for difficult times. It is a call to awaken, an invitation to abandon apathy and reconnect with what really matters. The warning did not come in an enigmatic way. It was direct, clear, and above all, urgent. The Virgin Mary revealed that we are heading towards a turning point where the choices we make, or fail to make, will define not only our destiny, but the destiny of all humanity. This is a warning that cannot be ignored because it carries the strength of something that is already happening around us. There is a unique weight in this revelation, not because it is a weight of fear, but because it carries the responsibility to transform us. Her words came as an invitation to look at the world around us and notice the signs that we may have ignored for too long, signs that show that times are changing, that something is approaching, something that challenges us to be better and more connected with what is most essential. This celestial alert is not a simple warning of danger, it is an opportunity. The Virgin Mary did not come to frighten us, but to prepare us. Her message is a beacon, a light that crosses the darkness of chaos that many often feel all around us. And it's also a reminder that even in the hardest times, we are not alone. There is a bigger plan at work, and we are part of it. But the question is, what will we do with it? Will we have the courage to really listen, To accept that there is something bigger calling us? Or will we continue to ignore the signs, pretending that what happens in the world does not directly affect us? This is the choice that each of us needs to make. And it is a choice that needs to be made now because time is running out. The words of the Virgin Mary are like a bridge between what we are today and what we can be. They show us that there is still hope, that there is still time to change the course. But this change will not come from outside. It begins within each one of us the moment we decide to open our eyes, listen with our hearts, and act with courage. And now, as you reflect on all this, you need to ask yourself how these words echo in your life. What are you willing to do with what you have just heard? Because this message is not just another story, it is a call that demands a response, and that response only you can give. Ready to continue? The next part will reveal the details of the celestial warning and how it connects to the signs that are already before us. Don't leave now. What comes next could be the turning point you've been waiting for. What's coming has been announced with precision and urgency. The message of the Virgin Mary through the light of Mary is not just a warning. It is a revelation that connects past, present, and future events in a disturbing way. Each word is loaded with meaning, as if all the pieces of a spiritual puzzle were falling into place before our eyes. And perhaps the scariest thing is not what is to come, but the fact that the signs are already among us. Look around you. The world is no longer the same. Wars, natural disasters, human disasters are not just isolated coincidences. They are not disconnected events. They are interconnected, as if they were echoes of something much bigger, something that was predicted and that is now beginning to unfold before us. But are we paying attention? Or are we so busy with the noise around us that we fail to perceive what really matters? The Virgin Mary spoke of clear signs, phenomena in the sky, sudden changes in nature, crises that seem to have no solution. You may have heard of this before, but what makes this message different is the way it is expressed, how it connects everything in a single thread. The urgent need for transformation, and not just transformation of the world around us, but above all, transformation within each of us. These signs are not to scare us, but to awaken us. Each event, each occurrence that seems so out of the ordinary, is a reminder that time is running out. And in the midst of it all, we are called to look within and ask ourselves, are we ready? Are we living according to what we were created to be? Or are we lost in a life of distractions and superficiality? There is something deeply uncomfortable about recognizing these signs, because deep down they force us to face truths we would rather avoid. They show us that the world is not under our control, but they also remind us that we have a role to play. We are not just spectators. We are part of this great divine plan, and what we do, or fail to do, matters. The Virgin Mary made it clear that these signs are a warning, but also an opportunity. It's not too late, but time is running out. And that's exactly what makes this message so urgent, because it's not just a warning for the future, it's an invitation for the present, an invitation to change, to reconnect with what really matters. Now, as you listen to this, Something inside you feels there is a truth here that cannot be ignored. It is impossible not to wonder, what if this is real? What if these signs are a direct call to me? And if this message is the chance I needed to reevaluate what I'm really doing with my life? What comes next is even deeper, because it's not enough to recognize the signs. We need to understand what they demand of us, and that's what we are going to explore more. Before moving forward, ask yourself, are you willing to hear the truth, even if it is uncomfortable? If the answer is yes, stay with me. We are just beginning to understand the true scope of this revelation. The next step is to understand the role that each of us plays in this story. The message of the Virgin Mary did not come just to point out the signs, but to show us that we are at the center of everything that is happening. We, humanity, are the key piece at this decisive moment. But how did we get here? Why does our current condition carry so much urgency and so much weight? The answer lies in something we often prefer not to face: our choices. We live in a world saturated with distractions. We are so immersed in our own interests and concerns that we fail to see the impact of our actions, or lack thereof. The celestial warning is clear. Humanity is in the eye of a spiritual storm. Our priorities are misaligned, and this is creating a wave of chaos that is reflected in all areas of our existence. The Virgin Mary reminded us that each of us carries within us the ability to choose between light and darkness. But as long as we continue to ignore this power, we continue to feed the forces that distance us from what is divine. This is the point at which we are now, a moment of decision, collective and individual, where our actions will have greater consequences than we can imagine. This alert is not about punishment, it is about responsibility. Humanity is not lost, but it is in danger. We are facing a silent battle where the most dangerous enemy is not outside, but inside each one of us. Our indifference, our lack of courage to change, our refusal to reconnect with what is sacred. Every time we choose to ignore it, we move closer to an uncertain future, a future that was predicted but that we can still avoid. The message also reminds us that we are not alone in this fight. The Virgin Mary did not come just to warn, she came to guide us. But her guidance doesn't work like magic. It calls us to act, to become aware of who we are and what we are doing with our lives. It reminds us that we have the power to change the course of this story, but that this change needs to start now. And here's the most important part: there is no neutrality at this moment. There is no way to sit on the fence. Every choice, no matter how small it may seem, is putting us on one path or the other. The time for passivity is over. What you do matters. How you live matters. And that's not just for you, you are connected to the world around you. Your choices echo and become part of something much bigger. Maybe you are wondering what you can do in the face of something so great. The answer lies in starting where you are, starting within yourself, because the collective change the world needs begins with the decisions you make today. The Virgin Mary made it clear: what is at stake is not just the future of humanity, but the soul of each one of us. And now, Faced with this call, the question that remains is, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to continue living as if nothing had changed, or are you going to use this moment as a turning point? The next part of this revelation will guide us further, deeper, showing us how we can transform this warning into action. Are you prepared to discover your role in this scenario? Let's continue together. The message of the Virgin Mary, at the same time that it reveals the urgency of the moment, also brings an invitation to transformation. It is not just a warning about what is coming, but a direct call to the conversion of each heart. And this conversion is not something distant or reserved for a few. It is a journey accessible to all who are willing to listen and act. But what does this call to conversion really mean? Conversion, as described in the message, is not just an act. It is an internal movement, a profound change in the way we see life, our actions, and the impact we have on the world. It is an invitation to reevaluate our faith, our priorities, and to what extent we allow distraction and superficiality to dominate our lives. The Virgin Mary, with her words full of love and firmness, reminds us that this process is not optional, it is essential. This transformation is not easy. It requires courage to look within and admit where we fail, requires humility to recognize that we often put our desires above what is truly right, but above all, it requires action. It is not enough to hear the message, feel its strength, and continue living the same way. Conversion requires movement. It requires concrete steps that show to the universe and to ourselves that we are ready for something greater. And where to start? It starts with what is simplest, but at the same time most difficult, a change of heart. The Virgin Mary reminds us that love is the basis of all true transformation, not love that seeks rewards or that gets lost in empty words, but the love that challenges us to care for others, to seek the common good, to live with purpose and meaning. This love, when lived fully, is the most powerful response to the chaos we see around us. The call to conversion also carries a promise, the promise that even in the face of challenges and difficulties, there is a path of light, a path that leads us back to what is sacred, to what is eternal. The Virgin Mary does not ask us for perfection, but calls us to take the first step. With each small change, with each act of kindness, in each moment in which we choose the light instead of darkness, we are answering that call. As you hear this, you may feel that there is a part of you that resists, that thinks you may not be ready. But that resistance is just the fear of the unknown. The truth is that we will never be completely ready, because transformation is an ongoing process. The important thing is to start, even if it is with a single act of courage. And here is the central point: this change is not just for your benefit, it is for the benefit of the world around you. The Virgin Mary made it clear that each of us has a role to play at this critical moment in history, and that role begins with our own conversion, with our willingness to be the change we want to see. Now the question that remains is, are you willing to take that step? Are you willing to transform this message into action, this warning into hope? Because the next part of this journey will show us how signs of the present can become the guides for this transformation. Stay with me, because what comes next may be the key for you to understand the true purpose behind all this. The signs that the Virgin Mary mentioned are not mere coincidences or isolated events. They are all around us, in every aspect of life, in nature, in human relationships, in the spiritual world. There is tangible evidence that time is running out, and that the prophecies that once seemed so distant are now being fulfilled before our eyes. But many of us do not see them, or worse still, choose to ignore them. These signs present themselves in varied forms. In the sky, there are phenomena that were previously seen as impossible, but now repeat themselves with frightening frequency. The earth, so generous and abundant, has shown signs of exhaustion. Natural disasters, climatic imbalances, everything pointing to us that something needs to change. In societies, we see fragmentation, intolerance, and an ever-increasing disconnection with what is essential. But the most powerful signs are those that manifest themselves within us. That restlessness, that feeling that something greater is coming. The Virgin Mary warned us that these signs are not accidental. They are part of a plan, a greater plan that invites us to wake up before it is too late. Every event that seems out of the ordinary, every happening that challenges our understanding, is a reminder that we are living in extraordinary times. These times are not meant to scare us, but to prepare us. There is a clear urgency in all of this, not because the divine wants to impose fear, but because the time to act is shortening. Each sign is like a knock on the door of our heart, an attempt to wake us up to the spiritual reality that we often ignore. But how can we respond to these signs? How can we interpret what they mean for each of us? The first step is to pay attention. We live in a world where everything distracts us, where the noise is constant, and the search for quick answers prevents us from looking at what really matters. But the message of the Virgin Mary asks us to do the opposite: silence, observe, and reflect. Because it is in this state of full attention that we can see the signs clearly. The second step is to act. It is not enough to recognize the signs. We need to transform this perception into action, and this action begins with our daily choices. Choosing what is right, even when it is difficult. Choosing to listen to the voice of conscience, even when it contradicts our desires. Choosing to be part of the solution rather than contributing to the problem. These are the actions that really matter. Finally, there is a third essential element: trusting. The message of the Virgin Mary is not just a warning, but a guarantee that we are not alone. Even when the signs seem dark, there is a light that guides us. This light is divine love that never abandons us, even when we stumble. Trusting in this love is what gives us the strength to continue. But for this to make sense, you need to ask yourself, what do these signs mean to me? What are they trying to tell me? And above all, how can I answer them? Because the signs are here for everyone, but the answer is unique to each of us. And there is still more to be revealed, because the signs are not the end of the story, they are just the beginning. The next part of this journey will take us to understanding the outcome of the prophecies and what they really mean for the future. Now, what is coming is the missing piece to complete this puzzle. The signs lead us to an inevitable point, the outcome of the prophecies. The message of the Virgin Mary is not just a warning about the present. It is a clear vision of a future that is already beginning to unfold. And this future is not something distant and reserved for other generations. It is before us, closer than we imagine, and challenges us to reflect on how our lives today are shaping what is to come. The outcome of the prophecies carries a truth that cannot be ignored. There will be a division. It is not a physical division, but a spiritual one, where those who choose the light will separate from those who remain in darkness, not by divine imposition, but as a consequence of the choices that each of us makes daily. This is the moment when heaven and earth align, in which good and evil become more evident than ever. The world as we know it is changing. Structures that once seemed unshakable are crumbling. Economic, political, social systems, everything is being shaken, as if a greater warning is being conveyed. And the Virgin Mary has made it clear to us that this is just the beginning. These events, however challenging they may be, are not the end, but the prelude to something greater: purification. Purification should not be feared but understood. It is not a punishment, but an opportunity for humanity to rediscover itself, to reconnect with what was lost. It is a painful process, because it requires us to leave behind everything that is not essential, everything that takes us away from the divine. But it is also a necessary process, because through it the new can emerge. The Virgin Mary warned us about difficult times, but she also gave us a promise. After the storm, peace will come, not a superficial peace, but a true peace, built on reconciliation with God, with our neighbors, and with ourselves. This is the final destiny of the prophecies, not destruction, but renewal, a spiritual rebirth that will take us to a state of harmony that we have long forgotten. But this peace will not come automatically. It is an invitation, and it is up to each of us to accept it or reject it. This is the moment of decision. What will you do? Will you continue living as if these words were just distant stories, or will you allow them to touch your heart and transform your life? The prophecies also make it clear that we are not alone. The divine never abandons us, even in the most difficult moments. There is a constant presence guiding, protecting, and waiting for us to turn to it. This is the greatest comfort in the midst of chaos, knowing that no matter how difficult the times are, there is a light that never goes out. As we approach the outcome of these messages, the question that echoes is, what will be your role in this story? Will you be someone who surrenders to change, who prepares for what is to come, or will you be someone who resists, who prefers to ignore the signs and carry on as if nothing were happening? The choice is in your hands. And now, as we approach the end of this revelation, there is still more to be said, because prophecies are not just about the future, they are about the present, about what you can do here and now to be part of this transformation. The next part of this journey is a direct invitation to action. Now, what comes next may be the answer you were looking for. After everything that has been revealed, it is clear that we can no longer be mere spectators. The prophecies were not delivered to scare us or paralyze us, but to prepare us. Now is the time to act, to make a difference, to position yourself as part of the solution and not the problem. The message reminds us that every small gesture has an impact that goes beyond what we can see. It is not about big external changes, but about an internal movement that inevitably is reflected in the world around us. It is time to look within and ask ourselves, what can I do today to align myself with the light? What needs to change in myself so that I am ready to face the challenges that come? This action begins with simple but powerful choices: choosing truth over convenience, choosing love over selfishness, choosing compassion over judgment. These choices may seem small, but they carry a transformative power. It is through them that real change begins, not only in us, but in everything around us. The Virgin Mary reminded us that we are not alone in this process. Every step we take towards the light is supported by a greater force, a force that guides us and strengthens us. But this divine help can only reach us if we are willing to open ourselves to trust and allow the divine to act in our lives. This is the true essence of faith. It is not just believing, but acting based on that belief. The message also calls us to be beacons for others. In a world full of uncertainty, those who choose the light will be guides for those who are still lost. We don't need to be perfect for this. We just need to be willing. We just need to have the courage to share what we have learned, to live in a way that is authentic, to be an example of what is possible when we choose good. What is at stake now is not just the future of the world, but the destiny of each soul. Every decision we make brings us closer to or further away from the divine purpose. This is the time to let go of everything that holds us back, everything that prevents us from growing. It is the time to reconnect with what is eternal, with what really does matter. The choice is before you. You can continue living on autopilot, ignoring the signs, pretending this message is not for you, or you can do something different. You can decide that today will be the day everything changes, the day you answer the call with courage and determination. And now, with all these truths before us, there is only one question that remains: what will you do? The words of the Virgin Mary echo in our hearts, but the final answer is in our hands. The next step is yours, and I hope that you choose the light, because the transformation begins now. We have reached the crucial moment, the closing of this journey. Everything that has been revealed so far culminates in a central point. The final call of the Virgin Mary is not just a warning, but a unique opportunity for transformation, and this moment demands a clear, direct, and urgent response. There is no more room for doubts or indecisions. The message is a cry from the divine that echoes in each one of us, asking that we wake up and take a stand. This is not just a message about the world around us. It is about you, about your life, your choices, and your connection with that which is eternal. What has been said so far points to a reality that many prefer to ignore. We are at a turning point, and the time to act is now. The question is no longer what is happening, but what will I do from this point forward? The Virgin Mary has given us clear direction: convert our hearts. This means abandoning everything that takes us away from the divine and embracing a life that is aligned with the purpose for which we were created. But this conversion is not just about prayers or rituals. It is about action, about living according to the values that we know to be true. It is about leaving behind indifference and superficiality and reconnecting with the essence of what really matters. This is the time to reflect deeply, to think about everything that has been revealed, the signs that are around us, the urgency of the prophecies, the opportunity for transformation that presents itself before us. Ask yourself, what can I do today to answer that call? How can I, in my everyday life, begin to build a future that is aligned with the light? The answer is within you, And it doesn't need to be perfect or grandiose. It just needs to be true. It just needs to be a willingness to take the first step. Because every small change, every decision to live with more love, more courage, more authenticity, is an essential part of the great divine plan. The message of the Virgin Mary is an invitation to hope. Even in the face of challenges, even in the midst of the storm, there is a promise of peace, of renewal, of reconnection. But this promise cannot be lived passively. It demands that each one of us stand up and do our part, to choose the light even when everything seems dark. And now we come to the final question. What are you going to do with this? Are you going to continue as if nothing has changed? Or are you going to turn this moment into a milestone, a turning point in your life? The choice is yours, and it needs to be made now. If you got here, it's because something inside you is already changing. Don't ignore it. Use it as an impulse to take the next step. Comment, share, leave your thoughts. Together, we can be part of this transformation, of this light that the Virgin Mary invites us to spread around the world. And remember, you are not alone. The divine walks by your side, but the decision is yours. Choose the light, choose to act, choose to live with purpose. The time is now, the transformation begins within you. This is the final moment of this journey, the instant in which all the pieces of the message come together to form an inescapable truth. You are called to be an active part of this transformation. There is no more room for doubt or hesitation. What has been revealed is too powerful to ignore, and what you do from now on will determine not only your path, but the impact you will have on the world around you. The Virgin Mary, with her infinite wisdom and compassion, delivered this message with a clear purpose, awakening us. But waking up to this reality is not enough. Waking up is just the beginning. We need to get up, act, and commit to real change. This is not a superficial or temporary transformation. It is a profound renewal, a reconnection with what is eternal and true. What was said here was not only to be heard, but lived. Each word carries an invitation. Abandon indifference, abandon fear, and choose the light. This is the most urgent call you can receive, because it comes directly from the divine heart, and you, at this moment, have the power to decide how you will respond. You don't have to be perfect to answer this call. You don't have to have all the answers, or know exactly what to do. The important thing is to start, to take a step in the right direction, even if it is small, because every step you take towards the light strengthens your spirit and illuminates the path for others around you. The message also reminds us that we are not alone on this journey. The divine is there with us, guiding and strengthening every effort, every attempt to live with more love, more courage, more authenticity. This is the comfort that sustains us, knowing that even in the most challenging moments, we are never abandoned. Now, the final question is direct and simple. What will you do with this message? Will it just be another story you heard, or will you allow it to transform your life? What was said here has the power to change everything, but this power will only be activated if you decide to act. If this message touched something inside you, share, comment, express how you feel, what you think, what you plan to do. This interaction is part of the process, because individual transformation is amplified when we share our intentions and inspire each other. What lies ahead is a future that you can help shape, and it starts now, with your choice. This is the starting point for something much greater, something you are not only destined to witness, but to live fully. The light is before you. You can reach it. The time is now. Choose the light, choose to be part of this transformation, choose to act. The message of the Virgin Mary is not just a warning. It is a portal to transformation, an invitation to leave behind everything that holds us back and walk towards a life with purpose, with light, with truth. You know that the signs are there, all around us, screaming for attention. You know that the prophecies are not distant stories, but realities that begin to unfold before our eyes. And you know that the choice of how to answer this is entirely in your hands. This is not the time to hesitate, it is the time to act. The message of the Virgin Mary is a call to something greater, something that transcends the individual and reaches the collective. It is about how every small change in you can reverberate in the world, creating a wave of light that breaks through the darkness. If there is something you should take away from this meeting, it is the certainty that the divine does not give up on us. Even in the midst of chaos, there is a promise of hope. Even in the face of darkness, there is a light that never goes out. This light is within you. It is in the love you choose to share, in the courage to change what needs to be changed, in the faith you decide to live. But transformation begins with one step, a simple step, and it can begin now. Recognize the signs around you, ask the questions that need to be asked, allow yourself to be vulnerable in the face of this message, because it is in vulnerability that we find the strength to rebuild ourselves. More than that, share this message. Do not keep what has been revealed to yourself. There are others who need to hear it, who need to wake up, who need to know that there is hope. Each word you transmit is a seed of light, and the more seeds we plant, the more light we can bring to the world. Before we close, let me ask you, how are you feeling now? What did this message awaken in you? I want to know. Don't hold back. Leave your thoughts, your doubts, your faith in the comments. Let's create a community of transformation, where each of us together can respond to the call with the strength that it deserves. The Virgin Mary delivered her message with love, but also with an urgency that we cannot ignore, and now you are part of this story. What comes next depends on you. The time is now, the choice is yours, answer the call, live the transformation, be the light. The message of the Virgin Mary is clear, direct, and full of love. She did not come to scare us, but to prepare us, to remind us that there is still hope, but that this hope demands action. Each word spoken carries the weight of a divine call, an invitation to transformation that only you can accept. At this moment, you are faced with a choice. It is not a simple choice, because it requires courage, it requires commitment. It requires that you look inside yourself and face what needs to be changed. But it is also a liberating choice, because it is in it that you find purpose, strength, and above all, a deep connection with that which is eternal. If you got here, it was not by chance. Something inside you is already changing. It is already responding to this call. And this change does not need to be grand to be significant. Start where you are, with what you have. Choose the light in the small things, in the daily gestures, in the decisions that reflect love and truth. Share this message. Do not keep it just for yourself, because there are many people who need to hear it. Be a channel for this light. Comment, send it to someone, take this transformation forward. The more people join in this purpose, the greater the impact we can make. And remember, you are not alone. The divine is with you, guiding you every step, supporting every effort. Even in difficulties, there is a greater force that never abandons those who choose the light. This is the promise of the Virgin Mary, that peace will come, that renewal is possible, that hope is real. Now it's your turn. Answer the call, live this transformation, be the light that the world needs, and above all, keep the faith, because what is coming is bigger than anything we can imagine. The time is now. Choose to act. Choose to believe. Choose to be part of this story. You are important. You are needed. And you can make a difference. Thank you for being here. May the light be with you.